iRobots, neural links, and Alexa. Why the ethics of artificial intelligence matter. Jeannie Marie Paterson is the co-director of the Centre for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Ethics at the University of Melbourne. This is a cross-disciplinary research, teaching and policy centre dedicated to promoting the role of ethics and law in design, use and governance of emerging technologies. Jeannie is also a professor of law, specialising in contract and consumer protection, along with the regulation of new technologies. Jeannie is a fellow of the Australian Academy of Law and an editor of the Australian Business Law Review. Artificial intelligence is no longer a character in popular film and TV. It is increasingly embedded in our homes, workplaces, and public places. We sometimes tend to think about educating students for the new world of sophisticated digital technologies by teaching them coding. This is undoubtedly useful, prompting clear thinking and logic, as well as an understanding of how these technologies are built. But coding is only the beginning in being AI ready. The ethics of AI are conversations about how AI tools are designed, deployed, and governed. Over to you, Jeannie.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Paterson. I'm the Director of the Centre for AI and Digital Ethics at the University of Melbourne. This is a cross-disciplinary research and teaching centre that takes in the faculties of engineering, information technology, science, arts and law. Today I've been asked to speak to you about the value of AI ethics and the way to develop AI-ready students. We do a lot of teaching in ethics and AI at the university across most of the faculties, so it's something we've thought a bit about. And I'm happy to share those thoughts with you right now. Let's start with popular media. When I ask my students to tell me their favourite movie about AI, the most common nomination is this movie, Big Hero 6. For those of you who haven't seen it, Big Hero 6 is a Disney movie about all sorts of things: robots, family, revenge, friendship, robots protecting humans, and the value of holding back against violence. I'm pleased my students nominate this film. It shows an optimism about their relationship with technology and a willingness to engage with the ethics around emerging technologies and the corporations that empower them. But in many ways, it's a poor illustration of the challenges of AI today. Big Robot 7 itself fills the classic role of a sidekick, a cuddly sidekick. Disney movies generally have a sidekick. It's a cute child, it's a sweet animal, or perhaps it's a funny snowman. In other words, Big Robot 7 is an anthropomorphized vision of AI. It has a body. It's like a person. Most applications of AI today don't have those things. The most sophisticated AI that you and your students probably experience here and now is probably something that looks like this. This is a smart speaker which enables Alexa. Alexa's Amazon's digital assistant. Or perhaps it's the phone in your pocket. I wanted to say a few words about AI ethics today and the skills that students need to challenge the issues that are raised by AI as it applies to us here and now. Increasingly, across all workplaces, students are going to confront applications of AI technology, by which I mean technology that uses algorithms to act as intelligent agents in assisting human decision-making. This might be diagnosing cancers, scanning high-risk locations for criminals or terrorists, assessing the creditworthiness of an applicant for a loan, calculating Centrelink benefits, or monitoring remote exam taking to ensure students aren't cheating. Might also be providing targeted advertising through Facebook, or a car that can read your emotions, such as through Tesla. Even new cars today rely on facial recognition technology. Education about AI means skills to make a sober and informed assessment of the benefits and risks of these uses of AI. Yet this is not always happening. At least in popular media, AI is often anthropomorphized or catastrophized. Famously, there was a debate in about 2018 between these two guys. That's Elon Musk from Tesla and Zuckerberg from Facebook. They had a debate about whether AI was a challenge to society or a threat to society as we know it. Zuckerberg thought there's nothing to worry about. Elon Musk thought we shouldn't go near AI. How times have changed. When he's not flying into space, Musk is working on a brain-machine interface called Neuralink. Thus far, you may have seen demonstrations of this technology through a monkey playing Pong. The longer-term aspiration of Neuralink is to convert thoughts to actions and also to stimulate some parts of the brain that may not be working the way we like. One possible application of this technology might be to assist quadriplegics or people who have brain or spinal injuries and can't move, and enable them through their thoughts to control a computer mouse or their phone. In other words, by thinking the action, it would be manifest in an electronic device. And it does that because a little electrode is planted in a brain, which picks up brain signals and then translates that through an algorithm into an action on a screen. Now, for people who can't move, have a profound disability, this seems like a really good thing. It gives them greater agency in their lives, greater autonomy. Of course, however, there's other uses of this kind of brain-machine interface. Musk himself has said that his Neuralink might be used to cure autism. People with autism don't consider they have a disability and they don't want to be cured. Suggesting that a disability should be cured is inconsistent with human rights, which suggests we should be using technology to enable people to have equal participation in society. And it's in these sorts of debates that the value of AI ethic lies. This is Tay. You've probably heard of Tay. Tay was a chatbot developed by Microsoft to engage in conversations on Twitter, of all places. It ended up in a very short period of time being racist and homophobic and offensive generally, had to be shut down. And it seems that for every successful deployment of AI technology, there's a deployment that fails the public decency test. We've seen sexist hiring algorithms discriminate against women and Black people for jobs. We've seen racist chatbots such as Tay. We've seen facial recognition technology used to identify and arrest people for crimes they haven't committed, particularly people who are Black or from minority communities. As my good co-director, Tim Miller, an esteemed computer scientist, says, these failures aren't technological challenges, or they're not just technological challenges. Instead, they are raised by a combination of factors: law, ethics, regulation, commuting, humanities. We need a well-rounded perspective to decide how we deal with these consequences of technology, and even better, to foresee the possible challenges to stop them, the harmful consequences arising in the first place. The core of the problem is the technologists, aimed with tools to make far-reaching decisions about the kind of technologies that will be deployed in society, but without the necessary skills to think about the ethical and social questions that those technologies raise. Should we be building this? What kind of ethical issues are relevant? Could there be unintended consequences? How should we respond? At the other end of the spectrum are politicians, CEOs, lawyers, who are empowered to make the big policy decisions about the applications and uses of technology in society. But typically, those people don't understand the technology, so they're in a poor position to make the kinds of decisions that we need to ensure that the technology is fair, safe, accessible. What we need then is a new generation of multidisciplinary specialists who can draw on insights from science, technology, philosophy, humanities, arts. And it is this bundle of skills that will allow them to imagine, assess, and rate the ethical and social consequences of particular technologies. And technologies not just now, but the technologies that will be coming in the future and may be quite different from what we can imagine at this point in time. But I hear you say, or at least those of you perhaps with an association with Silicon Valley, won't this stifle innovation? Won't all this focus on ethics and regulation and law stop people from inventing things? Stop us from using technology to move society forward, to stop us from solving the big challenges of today, such as challenges about the environment or how to produce vaccines on large numbers? Well, I would argue that ethical technology has greater potential and resilience in the long term by virtue of it being trustworthy. We want people to engage with technology. They have to trust it, and trust needs to be earned. Moreover, while we currently have no law of AI, this is very much in the wings. So these insights are also critical to compliance, which, as you know, is a central concern of business and government. So how do we build AI ethics-ready students? Knowledge about engineering, mechanics, DesTech is useful. It's useful because it gives students the confidence to challenge technologies and break through the so-called black box of machine learning. Knowledge of computing or algorithms allows students to understand that AI is a computational model, a computational method. It's not magic, it's based on the maths they learn in school. What you can see on the screen are some tools that we use in teaching our students about technology. In fact, they're tools we use in teaching them about algorithmic bias. Algorithmic bias pops up all over the place when we're trying to use technologies that are based on data. Historical data generally reflects historical biases, and so that comes out in the decisions that are produced by those algorithms. In this case, we're looking at hiring algorithms that discriminate against people on the basis of perhaps where they went to school, what gender they are, what sports they played. It's not an easy concept to teach, because when we're looking at data and the use of algorithms to sort through many data points to make decisions, it's not just a matter of going, well, take gender out, it's a relevant consideration. It's a whole lot of factors that may be proxies for gender, culture, socioeconomic status, and race. And so we need to understand the way in which machine learning algorithms use data to make decisions if we're going to have the kind of interventions that will make for fairer decisions and fairer societies. That's what these tools are demonstrating. But interestingly, they were built by a couple of undergraduates who learnt programming at school. And here I'll say thank you, Monash Science School and Mount Waverley Secondary. AI ethics ready students also need a good grounding in those other subjects the schools are good at teaching: philosophy, economics, literature, health, history, art, physical education, ethics, and the like. History, for example, reminds us that the eugenics and associated movements of the 1940s were false sciences that led to the horrors of ethnic cleansing. At that time, these kinds of studies into the traits thought to be essential to different cultures and races were seen as valid. It was thought that we could identify the criminality from people's faces or even the shapes of their heads or the colours of their eyes. These kind of beliefs, these kind of studies were not, at least initially, subject to the degree of ethical and empirical scrutiny that they should have been. Now, today, this claim is sometimes made that AI can detect emotions, identify criminal types, rate our trustworthiness, and that these things might be used widely in society. The the moment anyway, that's a pseudoscience. Humans are far more complex than an algorithm can work out. We have difficulties ourselves in reading emotions because everybody shows emotions differently. An algorithm isn't going to do much better than that, and that's supported by scientific studies. Moreover, it may just not be a very good thing to rate people by virtue of some detected of emotion picked up by a technology that's deployed against them, often without their knowledge, in a way they have no control over or accountability to. We think the arts are vital in prompting these sorts of conversations about the future uses of technology. Visual art, for example, provides a very visual way of prompting the deep and often uncomfortable conversations about the place of technology in people's lives. And you can see a quote on the screen there from a University of Melbourne researcher, Dr. Vanessa Bartlett, who understands, I think, the deep and profound and useful relationship between art and digital ethics. School curriculums are crowded. I'm not suggesting that we should have a new subject or a new curriculum dealing with AI or AI ethics. Rather, what I'm suggesting is that we should not encourage our students to catastrophize or to deify AI. We should study and debate it. Now, programming is a good beginning, but it's just the beginning. Students also benefit from that bundle of other skills, experiences, and learnings that they obtain at school. These can be applied to contemporary debates, and it provides students with the very skills they need to be AI ready in that full sense that I've discussed. So, to teachers, thank you for preparing our students. Hopefully, we at the Centre for AI and Digital Ethics and universities more generally can continue the good work.